Welcome to Community Conversation. I'm Michael Witch for LMC Media, and sharing the screen with me today is a Mamaroneck filmmaker, Pierre Guillet. Welcome, Pierre.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me.
You're on, well, for one reason, because you're a local filmmaker, and you're always exciting to hear those kinds of folks talk about their work, but also because you've got a brand new film that is opening this Saturday at Cinema on the Sound, which is on City Island in Bronx, a short hop from here. It's called Bristol Fashion. Can you tell us a little bit about the film?
Sure. The film is about a young transgender woman who escapes her troubled home to find solace in a dilapidated boatyard in the Bronx. So
Hmm.
fitting that we have a screening coming up in City Island, a very nautical theme all around. Cinema on the Sound is actually a brand new movie theater, opened up last year. As you know, the theater industry itself is struggling.
Yeah.
We like partnering with this cinema, specifically Jerry Landy, because they support other local filmmakers, similar to what LMC does for Mamaroneck filmmakers. So
Mhm. The movie, though, is not recently made. I think you told me earlier that it's about 5 years old now.
yeah, we shot it originally in 2018. We had a tumultuous post-production. There was issues with the audio. We had to do extensive ADR all through the pandemic as well. And finally, the film was released last year on VOD platforms. So we're very excited. It's been a long journey. Happy to finally share the film with everybody now.
What do you hope the takeaway will be for those who see it?
The film to me is really just about knowing what it is you want to do or who you want to be, and not accepting no or anyone else's input to stop you from doing that. You know, the film took inspiration mainly from the boatyard that I grew up in. That was the inspiration for the whole film in terms of using that as an interesting location. Everything else sort of fell into place. The transgender element of it came because we actually found somebody shooting a skit in the marina that was
Really?
very, very insensitive and stereotypical and hurtful.
Hmm.
And at the time we were writing the script and we were thinking, who would this person be that would be forced to live in this barge? That was the setting that we had. So how could we make it interesting? And we thought, well, what if it actually was a trans person in this juxtaposition of this marina, this, typical male setting, and what would the reaction sort of be? But obviously we had to go about doing the right way, which is why our star, Leah Nieli, consulted on the script and just was blown away by her performance, and she carries the whole film.
Wow. There's a website about the film. You want to give that out so people can catch a little glimpse of seeing it before they go to see it?
Yeah, the trailer's up there. The website is bristolfashionfilm.com, and we're also on social media, Bristol Fashion Film.
Where's the title come from?
It's a nautical term. I get this question all the time. It's the full term is ship shape in Bristol fashion. It's a metaphor, obviously, but it basically has to do with having everything secure along like the gunnels and the sides, just so that, if the tide goes down and your ship, kilters off to one side, it's not a whole mess when you come back to your ship. Everything's sort of secure, nothing is loose. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a metaphor.
I read that you are actually a tugboat captain. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah, that's sort of my day job, if you will.
Huh?
I work for a freelance company. We work on bridges in the water, so that's why I had access to the barge there.
So how did filmmaking enter in? What inspired you to start that?
Well, the marina I grew up in was about a mile away from Whitestone Cinemas, so that was sort of my escape. It used to be an old drive-in. I wasn't alive when it was a drive-in, but I would go there so often, and that's where I really discovered my love for cinema, and just knew from a young age it's what I wanted to do.
And you're not just a tugboat operator, and you're not just a movie watcher. You've also done some other work in video in cinema, right?
Yeah, I also have another film called The Book of Hearth, which is currently in the film festival circuit, and we have two screenings coming up. The film is about a performance artist from Brooklyn who collected signatures in a Bible for 20 years as a performance art.
Hmm.
And so the film is kind of exploring, who he is as a person, as an artist, and why he dedicated his life to this. Uh, yeah,
Are you attracted to quirky topics, subjects?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I collect them, as my friends like to say.
as you know, transgender is a kind of a hot topic these days. The girl that plays, the woman that plays the part, can you tell us about her character?
Sure. We knew that going into it, we wanted to cast a trans actress to play the trans role.
Mhm.
She was absolutely pivotal. She brought a lot of her personal life story to the film, just in terms of what she had to go with through her transition and different relationships. She actually describes the film in a totally different way than I do,
Hmm.
but it works, and it might help other people understand it better. She describes it as two straight men struggling with their attraction to a transgender woman. The only reason why I don't like that as much is because it takes the attention away from her, because I believe that she is the star and the driving force of the film. But that essentially is what it's about. There are two other characters, and it dives into, their insecurities, or their behavior towards either wanting to or being in some sort of relationship with her, a trans woman.
So is this a romance or,
Technically, it's a romance drama that's like a love triangle thing going on.
huh,
There's a lot going on.
and it says something about friendship?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, some people, it really depends on what you're after. If you have a lot of self-healing to do, you may not be ready to go into a relationship, but you still have a connection with that person. So sometimes friendship is the best thing that can happen at that given time, if you still care for that other person, if you don't want to be in a relationship with them. So I don't want to spoil anything, but there's elements of friendship and just all those dynamics of relationships that could be involved with a trans woman. And she, like I said, she helped totally with the script in with those elements.
And I just want to mention one more time, this is the Bristol Fashion, and it's your first narrative feature film, and it opens on Saturday on City Island in Cinema on the Sound. And people can get directions to there. Just Google Cinema on the Sound, and you'll find it. In the village, do you work with children at all? You
No, but
mentioned
I
you had a son.
I do, yeah. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. I would be honored to mentor or help any kids locally in high schools that want to learn about filmmaking or documentary filmmaking. I spoke with Dina about it already. Absolutely would love to pass down any knowledge or experience that I could help prepare anyone for what they might be getting into.
Yeah, I think Dina told you we have LMC Media has a future filmmakers program.
Yeah, that's amazing. I wish I had access to stuff like that when I was a kid, because I certainly knew I wanted to be a filmmaker at that young age, but where I lived, there wasn't that much of an opportunity like there is here. So I'm grateful for that for sure.
Well, maybe we can hook you up with a future filmmaker. That would be great for the student and great for LMC Media and hopefully satisfy you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm developing a whole slate of other projects, so who knows what's down the pipeline.
You want to tell us about any of them?
Oh, well, I am actually writing a sequel to Bristol Fashion, only because there has been interest, and the ending of the film, not to spoil anything, kind of leaves it as a cliffhanger where you see what happens next. So I am working on that, developing it, but there are no plans as of yet to film it. And I have other documentaries as well that I've been filming and editing. Um, but yeah, I could go on and on about that.
Do you also have a podcast? I heard something about a podcast.
I'm producing a podcast. I'm not actually in it. I just help, like sort of behind the scenes.
Mhm.
It's kind of raunchy. It's about two comedians sort of laughing in the face of their trauma. Um,
Oh,
so it's called Out of My Misery, and one of the co-hosts of the podcast is actually Richie DeFrisco. He's one of the main actors in Bristol Fashion, and he'll be there with me on the screening at the screening on Saturday.
oh, you'll be there. And will there be a Q&A after?
Yes, actually, yeah, I forgot to mention that. There will be a Q&A afterwards with myself and Richie.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, uh, Pierre Guillet, and you've got two films coming out. One of them is, as we just talked about, Bristol Fashion, which will be shown at the Cinema on the Sound at City Island this Saturday. And then the Book of Hearth, about the guy with the Bible, the Holy Bible with, what would you call them? I guess autographs, huh?
Yeah, signatures, autographs, that's one of the debates. But yeah, and that's playing at the Lower East Side Film Festival on May 6th at 6:30 at the DC-TV Firehouse Cinema, a beautiful brand new cinema in downtown Manhattan. And it's also playing on May 7th at the Coney Island Film Festival at 3 p.m. at the Coney Island Museum.
Well, Pierre, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us today on Community Conversation.
No problem. Thanks for having me.